We're going to consider another example where we have to conduct a hypothesis test for a mean. Let's go ahead and read the information. We're going to be summarizing the information as we go. A group of shareholders is protesting your company's decision to dismiss the CEO. They argued that the average tenure for a CEO is 11 years. So we don't really know what's happening, right? We don't know why you decided to dismiss the CEO. Seems like you fired the CEO before 11 years, and that is why the shareholders might be protesting against your company's decision. Here, they're claiming that mu is equal to 11. In other words, they're saying that if they look at the tenure period of all companies and they compute the average, this average would be 11 years. Now, you decide to challenge their claim and you go out there looking for data. You found a survey of 86 companies. This is a report from the Wall Street Journal. And this survey found that the sample mean is 9.3 years for a CEO. So this is our X bar. And it says with a standard deviation of 4.3 years. So this is our standard deviation for the sample. This is S. Now you're wanting to formulate a test for a hypothesis that can help you challenge the claim made by the group. You're going to be using the significance level alpha equal to 0.001. For this example, you're given the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis is the claim coming from the group of shareholders. They're saying the mu is equal to 11. Now, you think that the average tenure, you think the mu is less than 11. You're challenging the claim made by the group of shareholders. Here, I'm just going to write step one. Step one is done for us. Now, here on step one, I'm also going to write the alpha value, alpha equal to 0.001. This is going to be the significance level. We're going to use this level of significance to make a decision. Now, for step two, we're going to assume that the t-scores computed for sample means of size 86, we're going to assume that all those t-scores follow the t-distribution. So I'm going to write t-scores follow a t-distribution, and I'm going to write the degrees of freedom here. The degrees of freedom is n minus 1. In this case, and I forgot to make a note of that, in this case we have n equal to 86. The degrees of freedom is 86 minus 1, which is 85. Now in step 3, we need to find the t-score corresponding to x bar equal to 9.3. Here's the formula for finding a c-score. Again, in our case, we have x bar equal to 9.3. Let's replace x bar with 9.3. Then we're going to replace mu naught with 11. This is the value that in this case, the group of shareholders is claiming mu to be equal to. Now let's replace S with the standard deviation of the sample, which is 4.3. And let's replace N with the sample size, which is 86. Go ahead and enter this on your calculator. Remember, if you're going to enter all of this in one line, you need parentheses on the numerator. You should be getting negative 3.666314289. Now that we have the c-score, we can move on to step 4, where we're going to be finding the p-value. To find the p-value, we first need to ensure that we understand what area we're trying to find. We can find the p-value with a calculator, Google Sheets or Excel. Let's go ahead and visualize the t-distribution. At the center, we have the t-score corresponding to mu naught. In this case, again, mu naught is equal to 11. Now, we found the t-score equal to negative 3.67 if I round to 2 decimal places. This t-score is on the left-hand side of the mean of the distribution. So let's just go ahead and label the t-score here. And I'm going to write t-score corresponding to our x bar. And I'm going to write the value that we got. We are conducting a left tail test. We're wanting to find the area to the left of the t-score we found in step 3. If we're using a calculator, we're going to use TCDF. Our lower bound is going to be negative 1E99. The upper bound is going to be our t-score. And then we need to enter the degrees of freedom. The degrees of freedom here is 85. If you're using Google Sheets or Excel, on an empty cell, you're going to type in equal t.dist. You're going to enter the value for the t-score, the degrees of freedom, and then you're going to type true. Remember, this function is always going to give you the area to the left of the t-score you provide. In this case, we want the area to the left. That is why we're using this function. We do not need to take 1 minus the value of this function. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to ask you to use technology to find the p-value. I'm going to ask you to round to 4 decimal places. Okay, so find the p-value, round to 4 decimal places, and enter your answer below this video. Then I'm going to ask you to make a decision, which is step 5. And then I'm going to ask you to write a conclusion, which is what we do in step 6.